Hi everybody and welcome to my kitchen. It's me, Manny from Manny's Made at Home, and in my channel I have to share with you some simple or sometimes over the top but totally delicious recipes to share with your friends and family. If that sounds like your thing, make sure that you're subscribed. I'm obviously very passionate about food and I love to share with you guys recipes that I know and love. But every once in a while I get an urge to try something different. Considering it's Eid, I want to try some Arabian recipes, and there's one that I've been thinking to try for the longest time. Today we're going to be making some Fatayer with a beef and a cheese filling. Let's look at the ingredients that we're going to need. Fatayer is a traditional food that I believe originates from Lebanon. However, it's enjoyed throughout very many countries across the Middle East, such as Egypt, Morocco, Syria, even Israel. This list is not exhaustive. Okay, I'm gonna start by prepping my ingredients. First, I've got my feta cheese here. And all I'm going to do is kind of cut it up into little squares, and I'm going to transfer them into a bowl. Then I'm going to top it up with some water. And I'm going to let it soak for 10 minutes and then change the water and let it soak for another 10 minutes. Now I'm going to move on to my herbs. So I need a 1/4 cup of mint. I don't do a lot of recipes that use mint, so this is going to be really interesting. It's going to give such delicious freshness. Oh, I love that smell. And then for my parsley, I'm going to use about 1/2 cup. Parsley I am very familiar with. It's delicious, it brings a lot of freshness and color. I love it. And I'm gonna start working on my dough. Most of the recipes that I've seen don't actually do this step, but when I'm working with yeast, I always want to make sure that it's actually working first before I do my dough, get everything shaped, and when it goes to the end, I realize that it's not actually working and I end up with flatbreads, which is not what we want today. So I'm gonna get my sugar and put it into my milk. This is lukewarm milk that I heated up in the microwave for about 15 seconds. And I'm gonna give that a bit of a mix. And then I'm gonna go in with my yeast and put it on top. I'm gonna leave that for about 5 minutes just to see that the yeast is doing its thing. And in the meantime, I'm gonna change the water on the feta. We're being super efficient with our time today. Okay, and while I'm waiting for my yeast, I'll start with my dry ingredients. So I've got my flour here and some salt. And I prefer to mix the salt in this way because I don't like it to get anywhere near the yeast directly, because then it might kill it. I'm just gonna sift this through. And it's only been a couple of minutes, but I already see bubbles and I can smell the yeast, so I know that it's doing its thing. So I'm just gonna mix it up using a spoon. I'm gonna make a well in the center of my flour, and I'm gonna go in with my yeast mixture. And I'm also gonna go in with my olive oil. And I'm gonna mix it all together using a wooden spoon. Again, I'm gonna keep stirring, and it's still a little bit of a sticky dough, but I'm gonna start kneading it for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then it should become more smooth as we work with it. Just gonna go in with a clean hand and mix it in the bowl. I will refrain from adding any extra flour at this point. I think as I knead it, it will become a lot more smooth and less sticky. Trying to avoid adding any extra flour, but it's way too sticky and we're already almost at the 5-minute mark. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of flour at a time until it just becomes easier to work with, but I don't wanna add too much. Maybe I'll do something like a tablespoon or even less at a time. Obviously, from where this type of recipes originate, they're really warm countries. I live in a cold and damp country, so my flour probably isn't as dry, so it won't absorb the liquid as much. But just go kind of by feel. I already just added an extra tablespoon of flour. It's so much easier to work with. So let's keep going. Okay, change of plans. This bowl is annoying me. It keeps kind of like lifting up as I'm trying to knead. So I'm just gonna transfer it to my work surface. I'm gonna flour really well and just knead it for a bit longer on the counter. We are looking for a smooth and elastic ball of dough, so I'm just not getting there because the dough is still too wet. And this is so much easier. Okay, so I'm utilizing now all of my previous dough making experience. So this technique of lifting it up and throwing it against the counter works really well when you have a sticky dough, and immediately it makes it so much easier to work with. In the end, I ended up adding about an extra 3 tablespoons of flour. But I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. So I'm gonna put it back into my bowl and cover it up and let it rest for 15 to 20 minutes while we get our fillings ready. Okay, I'm gonna go in with my feta, which I've drained and dried, and I'm just gonna crumble it up with my hands. My feta cheese is nice and crumbly now, so I'm gonna go in with my herbs. I've got my mint and parsley. I've got some caraway seeds. The original recipe says to use nigella seeds, but I wasn't able to find them. This is a good substitution. And finally, I've got some beaten egg. We're just gonna mix that all together. The mint has a beautiful aroma, and so do those caraway seeds. It's just amazing. Okay, let's quickly do our minced filling. My minced filling is super easy. I just have some ground beef here. I'm gonna go in with the onions that we chopped earlier on, our tomatoes. And then for spices, I've got some chili powder here and allspice. And the best thing to do is probably to go in and mix it with your hands. And before you forget, a little bit of salt as well. That's it, our dough is now finished resting, so let's start shaping our Fatayer. Okay, let's start working with our dough. It's had some time to rest now. So I'm just gonna flour my surface a little bit and dump on my dough. And I'm gonna split it up into 4. After it's had time to rest, it's so nice and soft. It's a beautiful dough. Then I'm just gonna roll this individual pieces into logs. And then I'm gonna split this up into 6. Then we're gonna roll them into little balls, but I want to kind of like pinch them like this in the center and then just roll them. They're ready, you can put it to the side and I'll continue doing that with the rest of my dough. I've got all my dough divided up. I have 2 cookie sheets spread with some baking paper, so it's time to roll out our Fatayer and fill them in. I'm gonna take the first one and just roll it out into like an oval shape. That looks pretty good. And I'm gonna go in with some filling. I'm gonna go with about a tablespoon of filling. Let's do our cheese one first. Okay, and we're gonna close it up. So just fold over the sides a little bit over and have it pinched at the top. And then go in with the other side. Pinch it well to seal. This is where it's helpful that the pastry actually is still a little bit sticky. And how cute is that? I'm going to transfer it to my prepped baking sheet and then continue doing that. Just be gentle with them. Let's do one of the meaty ones. Just roll it out again. And again, I'm going to go in with a tablespoon of my meat mixture. And then we fold over the pastry, just like before. Making sure to pinch at the top and at the bottom so it stays in place. And there we go. These look so pretty. I cannot wait to try them. Okay, so let me do that and use up all of my dough and then we can bake them. I'm preheating my oven to 180 degrees. Okay, they're all ready. That took a while, so patience is definitely required here, but I think they look really pretty. I'm gonna go and bake them now for 40 minutes. I hope they don't puff out too much and everything spills out everywhere, but let's see how we get on. See you in 14 minutes. Okay, timer just went off. It smells unreal. Let's have a look. Oh my God, look at these. So that's our cheese ones. It smells gorgeous. And here are our meaty ones. These look so good. I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes to let them cool before we try them, but I'm so excited. All of the herbs that we use are releasing such a delicious aroma that is just making me so hungry. I need to try them right now. Let's go in with the cheese one first. Oh my God. All of the flavors married together are beautiful. It is so fresh, so aromatic. The pastry is crispy on the edges, but nice and soft at the bottom. It is such a pleasant texture. Let me try one of the meat-filled ones. It is so juicy, and actually some of the juices from the mince have soaked into the pastry and it's so beautiful. You could probably spice it up a little bit more if you wanted to, maybe add more salt and pepper or other spices into it, but as a starting point, this is absolutely delicious. It's probably better to use lean beef for this type of recipes because it will release some of its juices and you don't want it to kind of completely soak up your pastry. Also, these taste fantastic, but they're not 100% perfect in the way that they look. Maybe I could have pinched them a little bit more or just kind of kept my balls of dough more similar such that they're more uniform. But I think as a first attempt, I'm so chuffed with them. I absolutely love these. I can't wait to make them again. I have absolutely loved trying this recipe. The combination of flavors is delicious. The textures are fantastic as well. Please give them a try. It wasn't actually that complicated and they look absolutely beautiful. If you enjoyed this recipe, make sure you let me know in the comments what you thought of it. If you grew up eating this food, please let me know what you would do differently. Maybe I can tweak it around and get even better results. Make sure you give me a big like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and share with all of your friends. If you try this or any other one of my recipes and want to post it on Instagram, make sure that you tag me. I would love to see it. With that, I'll leave you for this video and enjoy.